Here comes the nasty gram.
Send a priest to save my soul, forget it.
Welcome back to the Nastygram RPG podcast. This is Star Wars Wings of Kani, Episode 6, Survivor.
Too hard is the poison to the heart of a cynic.
Loud klaxon horns blare through space station renewal in the asteroid field of Dodori VI. Warning, warning, brace for impact. Brace, brace, brace. Zeta steadies himself as something large shakes the station. Lights flicker. He feels the electric hum of the backup generators. Shock and pain cross Zeta's mind, sensations that are not his own. His sibling, Decium, is hurt. Zeta propels himself through the vacuous hallways of renewal, dodging debris and personnel as the station reacts to the asteroid strike. As Zeta glides down a hall, he sees Decium already being attended by medical staff. His arm and a substantial piece of his shoulder have shattered. Not broken like a bone, broken like a vase that fell from a height. Fissures reach across their chest and torso. It looks as if their whole body may break and fall apart. Fast forward 2 days. Through the cover of a Genesis chamber, we see 4 robotic arms with small needle-like attachments at the ends. They flick back and forth. They move independently of one another, but for the same purpose, to rebuild Decium. As one builds a latticework of scaffolding to support the limb, 2 others print the new arm, adding layer by layer of the dark mineral calamite. The 4th sparks briefly as it joins metallic filaments to the nerves of the broken wound. It beds the veins of the Venko into the calamite, reforming the body. The process is slow, but Zeta stands by watching and waiting. The camera pulls back and the room becomes a screen. Zeta and the Genesis chamber motionless in the frame. Only voices can be heard. The faces are obscured from view. They speak in the language of the Kani. They are soulless. In their creation, they are condemned to a life without their ancestors and devoid of Kani. It cannot continue.
For millennia, the Takani lived in peace, in communion with their homeworld of Kani. The Galactic Civil War forced the Takani to leave their home. Together with the Kida and the 11 synthetic Venko, the denizens of Kani and their fleet gather unlikely allies in their search for a new home.
Welcome back to the Nastygram RPG podcast. My name is Devin. I will be your Galactic Master.
Hey everyone, Dan here, playing Zeta, the Bedraggled.
Hey guys, it's John. I am playing Rej Kentari and S3, the Gearhead and Astromech, respectively.
Hey everybody, this is Jake, and I'm playing San Tavar.
This is Josh, continuing guest appearance as Captain Rhymes, once again following a Jedi into battle. Right? He's a Jedi, right?
Never seen one. Never seen one.
That's classic Rhymes,
Listeners,
dude.
let us know what you think about our new hire, Josh Bruins.
It's just probationary.
Yeah.
Probationary. Trying him out.
San, how are you?
Doing all right. Just hanging out up here.
San has just discovered this dish positioned at the top of a scaffolding reaching up from the waters of the surface of Dodori VI. You're atop a ridge where another denizen has found your location and is now climbing up to meet you. It is large. It bears resemblance to the Takani, the mushroom-like species that you have been traveling with for the past year. Except this one is different. It appears mutated, changed, become part of this swamp, and it howls. Give me a plus deep.
That's a fail. I got a 6.
Embrace the dark side.
You freeze at the realization of the implication that if this was a creature like the Kani, this may be what the future holds for them. You fear this creature, but cannot move. The rest of you see San standing motionless atop this ridge. You assume all is well.
Is this thing climbing up the ridge towards me?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Did we hear the howl?
Is Rhymes there? Because Rhymes was charging forward to catch up with San.
He leapt with supernatural strength up on top of this ridge about 10 meters up.
Oh, I have that on my character sheet.
Oh, okay. You got the jump jets? Did we talk about this?
I stole them from Boba Fett.
Yep.
Boot jumps.
My backpack's
Boot jets.
got jets.
You did hear this howl, but San appears motionless.
What is that, son?
It's tough to put into words.
The scout droid's like woo, 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 up the side of this cliff towards him.
Moving slowly.
Yeah.
He does not react as though there were danger. It is likely fine.
I don't think I respond. I think I'm just sort of like watching it climb up, kind of in awe.
Well,
Rhymes is going slower, but he's climbing up that ridge.
Okay. Give me plus rugged then.
success.
14.
Does a 36 hit?
You lap the droid that's hovering. You climb up. With that resounding success, I'll say that your squad starts climbing as well next to you.
But so I'm trying to imagine this right. Like this thing is going to be between me and Rhymes though, right?
No,
it's on the other side.
It's on the other side. So you're standing there. To your right is this creature climbing up. To your left is your party is the ex-Imperials climbing up. Beyond them on the ground is the rest of the party.
Okay.
Straight ahead of you is this cut out piece of rock with this dish sort of rising up from it.
Okay. Because I thought that this thing was kind of like, I thought it was like sort of like a spike that like comes out sideways, like above the ground. Like you described it as being like a peak that reaches out.
More of a dorsal fin, though.
Okay.
Imagine like this. So the water is flat.
All the listeners, just watch the video.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's a sort of, it looks like a knife.
Okay.
Where on the sides, it's very steep.
Okay.
And then towards the end of it, where it reaches furthest into the swamp, there's a decline.
Like, so
a softer
as
decline.
Dan said, like a dorsal fin.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Or a knife. Okay. All right. That makes, now I understand. All right. I thought that there was kind of only one side where you could climb up, but
nope.
But you could climb up on any side. All right.
Yep.
All right. I get it.
If I can, if Rhymes gets sight of this thing, this is where I think my battlefield instincts would come into play.
Okay.
Which is, it says when you check out the scene, but I assume that's like a typo because that's assess now. There's no check out the scene.
Correct. Yeah. That move is called assess now.
All right. So I just rolled plus cool instead of plus Kani.
Sure.
Basically what I'm doing is I'm trying to get this on.
Yep.
And then seeing over the side, seeing what this thing is, it clearly doesn't look like any of the other things that were going after us, right? So I'm just trying to do like basically a threat assessment.
This thing starts to mount the top of this ridge and you get a good look at it.
150.
12.
Come on, man.
It's weird. These dice only has 4, 5, and 6s. Keep rolling. Well.
3 questions.
All right.
As you climb up, you see San's face, and it's like a look of shock. He's inert.
The 3 questions: who or what is my biggest threat in the situation? Who or what is in control here? And what potential complication do I need to be aware of?
This is this creature's home. Whatever this place is, it seems like this creature is a reflection of it. You're San had a bad feeling.
Actually, can I change the third one?
Yes.
I'm going to change the third one from what potential complication do I need to be aware of to what do I notice despite an effort to conceal it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good one.
This creature, this is its habitat. Whatever foul things exist in this environment, this creature is sort of an embodiment of them. You have this feeling of dread as you're climbing up, and as soon as the form of this thing crests and you can see it, you have this sinking feeling in the pit of your stomach. You see San is almost immobilized, a look of fear on his face. You know that none of your other party, the ones on the ground, are prepared for it.
Rhymes grabs San by the chest, his robes, and kind of like pulls him up and says, "Get back to the ship." And he turns and it says, "Withdraw, hold the perimeter."
What do you do down on the ground?
And you see him swivel his blaster rifle, like you just see his silhouette up on the edge of this thing, looking down on the other side.
Actually, you had another question, right? What do you notice despite an effort to conceal it?
Yes.
At the base of that radio tower, you almost missed it. With your quick glance of this creature, you see lights below the surface of the water. So as this creature rose up out of it, sort of pushed some of this algae and things aside, and you can see lights. They look like emergency lights that would be on an outer door in an Imperial facility. So what you notice, despite not an effort, but the fact that it was concealed, is that there is an access door about a meter under the water, just on the other side of this ridge.
Okay.
But the creature is between you and it.
Can I retcon that then and say, I still grab San?
Yes.
And Rhymes says, "Counselor, get to the door. Up and over! There's a hatch!" And then he swivels the blaster rifle around, and you hear bolts start firing.
Okay.
Can we see what he's firing at? No.
Zeta.
You know that there's something.
Yeah, something made a noise, and now probably hear it kind of climbing. Do you think you can make it up and over, that is?
Without understanding the threat, I am unsure.
Here. Wait, he hands you the data pad for the droid, and then starts to climb and like reaches down to help you climb. I'm gonna help him climb and climb myself.
Okay.
As he kind of sets a foot on the rock and begins climbing, he opens up a comm. Caldo, do you copy?
Caldo here.
We are under threat. We would appreciate TIE fighter assistance.
Sending your coordinates to them now. Inbound.
Please be informed, friendly close.
You hear in the distance.
There's two of them. There's two of them.
John, do you have Rij, do you have a bond with Zeta?
No. I should have one, but no, I don't.
Okay, just roll just straight
Yep,
2d6.
straight roll.
Zeta, give me a Kani on behalf of Caldo.
Okay.
I failed.
Mark experience.
I am marking.
9.
Okay. Those TIE fighters come in quick, and you see those green bolts. And
That's good.
thank you. And the ridge shakes. You see from the other side just plumes of dust being kicked up. On the top, you see this creature sort of swivel, but that big mutated arm holds strong. The rest of you instinctively duck for cover. You see you have mere moments while this creature is regathering itself.
I clamber up the hillside and try to make it to the location that Captain Rhymes
Give me a rugged +1. Reej, you can give me that too if you're climbing.
He failed.
I failed. So what happens to Reej? He's trying to help Zeta up and loses his footing on this, tumbles down the ridge line and into the water.
It's sharp. Take one. Take one harm. Yeah, sure. As you hit the rock, you tumble in. And that water is not clean. You land on something solid but soft, and it's the dead body of one of these salamanders.
I'm rolling.
Rugged -1 ongoing because it is physical.
Yep. That's a 2.
Okay, mark experience.
How wide is the ridge? Like, thick. Sorry.
Yeah, 10 meters, not even. It's it's maybe 10, 15 meters up. Mm-hmm. So it's a steep incline, not a lot of clearance on the top. Your feet are uneven. But Zeta, as you're climbing up, again, this is like pumice, so it's sharp. And it's not skin, but your carapace, your sort of exoskeleton is not used to handling material like this. And you actually, there's cuts, you can feel lacerations on your outer covering as you climb up.
I think actually, generally, because he works with the asteroids, he is used to this.
Yeah, I'm dumb.
No. But rather because of his lack of nutrition, I think things cannot withstand this amount of hardship. So he is actually breaking down on certain parts of his hands and forearms.
You're vegan.
Get a little more protein. You guys are way better at describing failure of moves than I am because you guys know your characters and you're good at this.
But I think part of the failure that I had is also that he stops when he sees Reej tumble past him.
In the water.
And so he's now, if anything, suffering those wounds, clambering back down to try to offer a hand to him.
The two up top.
Tops and bottoms.
You tell me to get down to the door, and you're sorry, I'm looking at Josh. Josh, you're still engaging with this thing.
And you see Rhyme starting to kind of walk
kind of past me.
Yes, like
okay.
Further up the ridge.
I think with Rhymes kind of taking like between me and this creature now and taking charge of like fighting it, I think I snap out of it a little and I look down towards my companions, which are on the wrong side, but down at the bottom, and I slide down the side down to where they are. And sorry, I think you misunderstood. I was asking like how thick it is from one. Like, can I cut through it? Can I cut a hole through it?
Cut a hole through it. No.
Instead of climbing over it.
No.
So like 10 meters.
10 meters thick.
Yes.
Okay. So, but it gets thinner at the top.
Yes.
Okay, I get it. Okay, all right. And how? So why can we just go around it?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So why are we trying to climb?
Because it was the fastest way at the time from where
going
you were.
around it.
It's all watery, right?
Yep.
Yeah. That hook of dry land terminates sort of at the end of where this ridge enters the marsh, and you'd have to loop around this the edge of it through that watery surface. It would take time, but you can do it.
Okay.
We were beeline towards it because it was this.
Yep.
Yeah.
We rolled bad.
That too.
Yep. Okay, I stay at the top. Then I'm not going to go down to the bottom to where they are because that would be silly.
Who's the high?
Right. My mentor always told me the worst thing he ever did was lose the high ground.
That's only how Jedis die.
Okay.
That's sort of what it
Thank
looks
you.
like. You have this, if we're looking at it from above, it's this water, and then just cutting into it is this rocky formation in the ground. As you approach it, that dry ground loops and then walks along it. And then if you were to continue deeper towards the center of the marsh and then loop around like it's sort of like a cape, right? It's sort of the and you could loop around, go through some water to get to that radio tower where the door is.
You are required to post that online.
Okay, I know what I do. As these
radio.
As
It's like a wall that you can walk around.
Yeah, as Rhymes and his squad make their way past me, I pull the container of synth rope off of one of the stormtroopers' belts, and I'm gonna pass it down to them on the ground, and then I'm gonna basically try to help them get up.
Okay. This creature now has mounted the ridge, and it's using that one arm to sort of slither its way towards you, and it's howling the whole time. Rhymes.
Devin.
When has Rhymes been the most afraid?
Well, probably at the old Battle of Antilles 4 with the Jedi coming up over the peak. No, I would say the first time he was on a ship that was being bombarded. He'd fought in several battles, but he was always expeditionary. The first time he was on a ship in a space battle, he was a Marine and just had to stand by to repel boarders. Just sitting there in the what do you call it? Chambers, tunnels. Fucking hello. Corridor.
Yeah.
Wow. No, like where do you not by the airlock? I guess I don't know.
Yeah, the
Cargo bay.
Antechamber?
where the soldiers are. You mean like the drops, whatever those
whatever
military
space mudroom?
Standing by the airlock, waiting to repel boarders, and just feeling the ship just get rocked. And for the first time, knowing he could just die and have zero ability to influence it, affect it, anything.
Roll plus D. You feel this feeling of helplessness as the salvo what do the TIE fighters have?
Laser cannons?
I believe that's correct.
5. That's a fail.
Okay, mark experience. You feel the ridge under your feet shake as the laser cannons strike them. Another round, another volley from the TIE fighters. You feel... Are you vac suited up in the environment?
He has his vac suit on. His helmet is retracted back.
You have difficulty breathing. You felt this before when you were in an airlock. Power was failing and oxygen was running low. You feel stifled, and you envision that airlock and what's behind it, what was behind it. And this creature sort of embodies that fear of what was beyond that airlock. This is not a creature that wields blasters. This is not a creature that is coming to capture you and take you prisoner. This thing seems to have tapped into your deepest fear and brought it to the fore of your mind. You are stricken with fear of this thing.
Rhyme sees the blaster bolts just either thud into or reflect off the rubbery hide with seemingly no effect, and his feet kind of slip out under him on this rock, and he kind of falls. His blast rifle plants on the rock, and he kind of breathing heavily, and he just reaches to his belt and he pulls a smoke grenade, pops it. Orange smoke starts hissing into the air, and he just keys his radio, and he says, Saber 1-1, Saber 1-1. Request immediate close air support from my position. Mark smoke, 0.9. Danger close.
Give me plus Kani on behalf of the TIE fighters, +1 for the smoke.
It's a 7.
He tried.
You all see at the top of this ridge another... You hear the engines first. and just an explosion of rock and debris.
Only one?
Only one?
There's the other one.
Late.
An explosion of rock and debris at the top of this ridge as you see this creature, this form, tumble backside of it, and Rhymes tumbles the side closest to you down into the water.
Wow, we're all ending up down here.
You're all down there.
You hear on your comm, San, Zeta says, as we are all located at the base of this structure, I recommend we move around it rather than over. As he lends a hand down to Rij to help pull him out of the water.
The Derek and Ellen go to pull. They pull Rij and they help pull Rij and Rhymes out of the water and back onto dry land. Captain, come on, let's go. Captain.
Yeah, all right, around. Like he said.
Kata, or Zeta rather, begins scrambling along kind of where the water line meets and is taking the long way around at this point.
Okay.
So I'm once again alone at the
Yep.
on the ridge.
You're sort of pushed back towards the tip of it. So
Okay.
you are you're only about 5 to 7 meters above the water. And as the group is coming towards you and is going to loop around you, you could slide down or go down that easy way down and meet them
The
at the
droid
tip.
is up there with you.
I'll
too.
wait till
Won't-
you
won't-
guys do your thing first.
Sure. You get there. This creature does not re-emerge in the time that it takes you to get to that.
It tumbled
tip.
down the other side, right?
It did. Yes.
Well, Rhymes starts moving around it and then looks up and sees the silhouette of the counselor, and he shouts to Jensen, "Keep moving, get around it!" And then he grits his teeth and starts scrambling up the rock towards San. Doesn't get there any faster, but just goes up that way.
I think I'm kind of crouched, like one hand on the rock, like holding on and watching where the creature went down, like just waiting for it to come back up.
In a blast of rock and debris, you saw it tumble into the water. You did not see it resurface.
Yep. I as they make their way around, I just watch that spot.
Zeta, did you see it? What was it?
I have seen nothing untoward other than the salamanders.
Several of them float dead in the water.
Rhymes gets up to the top of that ridge, and he reaches back. He pulls the helmet up over his head, clamps the seal at the front, and takes a deep breath of filtered air.
San points and he says, "It went in there."
Understood. We should make for those lights. That's the access point.
What was it, Counselor?
As they get around to the side, we like slide back down to them. I say, "Well, wait till we're inside." I'm clearly like shaken.
Yeah.
And I say, "We can talk once we're safe."
You all can now see those lights at the base of this radio tower, about a meter under the water. You can see just this one yellow emergency light marking the door. It's this rectangular shape. And you can, as you get closer, you can, with the water disturbed, you can see sort of the paint marking a number, B7 or whatever it is, marking a door, big, heavy blast door.
B7. Everyone write that down.
B7.
Right?
B7.
Very, very important.
B7. I'm going to tattoo that.
It's probably a puzzle.
Reese says, we'll need to try to get to the access panel of that door. I'm not sure I'll be able to cut through it. The torch is on the ship.
I am uncertain whether I can access the computer in the station.
Well, Zeta and I go down and take a look. You all cover us in case that thing reemerges.
Someone's going to have to swim underwater to look for an access panel or a way in.
Yes, I think Zeta and I will dive under.
Okay.
It's more akin to what we're used to anyways, being kind of weightless.
There's some reprieve from the gravity as you find yourself in the water. You sort of lay almost horizontally as you swim down.
As they're swimming down, I look towards Rhymes and I say, that creature was a Kani. Twisted.
That's what
somehow. Mutated by this place, I think.
Kani, that's the race that runs this fleet?
I nod.
That is what those things are?
It's the progenitors of Zeta and Rish. It is, in a way, their grandparents, their creators.
That thing was monstrous.
This place did something to it. Made it lose its mind, its ability to think. Mutated it.
What's happening to this planet? I don't understand what Zeta was referencing. Is this some sort of terraforming? Is this just a natural process this planet is going through?
I think you're right. On the first, if I had to guess, I would say that the Empire was up to some sort of experiment here. Some sort of process of changing the planet. Perhaps just the weather. But the Kani are very linked to their world. They're linked to the natural order of things. They're one with their planet. And if this device that we're standing on top of is some sort of terraforming machine, then it's possible that it also changed them. That it mutated them the way it mutates the planet.
The Empire was not shy about using planets as projects. Nothing I ever had a close eye on, but I certainly came in not of enough garrisons to know that, well, fresh ground, anything they want to use with it. But that thing, whatever it was, it certainly seemed affected.
You guys are discussing this as Rish and I,
hear.
Zeta, kind of descend into the water, right?
Echo the dolphin over there, yeah.
Rish and Zeta, you are underwater now. Some reprieve from the oppressive gravity. Just below you in the water, you see this corroded blast door still intact, just as Imperial standard issue. On the side of it, you see an access panel sealed shut. With your tools, you could easily pop it open.
Yeah, Reach gets to work, popping that open and checking the voltage and stuff, nodding over to Zeta.
Zeta puts his hand on the side of the station, and he just kind of begins reaching out through kind of the electronics of the station to see if there's anything that he can reach.
Roll me plus D.
Sure. 7.
In a strange way, you can feel the presence of your siblings, but only a presence, a fleeting one.
Okay. I think he kind of draws his hand back quickly from the side of the building and focuses on what Rish is doing, getting access to that panel and waiting kind of almost impatiently for him in the water as he unfastens the panel.
Pulls a cord out, like the diagnostic cord, hands it over to Zeta.
He grasps it and tries to exert some sort of control over it.
You feel the door start to budge, but only slightly. There's this disturbance in the water. You look down, you can see a crack in the door. It's maybe only about 20 centimeters, but you see light coming from within it. It's diffused through liquid. Whatever's on the other side is also flooded, but it's open just a bit.
Rish puts his feet on the crack of the door, holds onto the edge of the door, and starts to just push as hard as he can.
Sounds pretty rugged to me.
It sounds pretty rugged.
Up on the ridge, Rhymes
Ridge.
next to San looks down and says, I suppose if they made them to survive in the void, it's just as easy down there on this?
As far as not needing to breathe, I'm not sure if they're used to moving in water.
Roll an 8.
It opens enough to fit a person inside. You feel something latch onto your leg. It's another salamander.
I grab my big knife.
Ooh.
It is on my character sheet.
Big knife TM.
Mm-hmm.
And stab down into the darkness.
Okay, go. Give me a plus rugged.
There we go.
How I
That's
cut off my femoral
that's a
artery.
6.
Okay. Mark experience. You do stab this thing, but its reaction when it first bit you, it's mostly gums, right? It's just soft.
Ooh.
But you feel this sharp pinch as you stab it, as it reacts and just clamps down these little bony protrusions as it bites down even harder. Take 1 harm.
Okay.
You're being gummed
the only
to death.
guy who takes harm.
I know. You really are.
I'm out of vitality. I still have that 1 wound, so we'll see how this goes.
Mm-hmm.
You see a little of the like the purple blood come off of his leg.
You feel a small wave of nausea, but it passes.
Shakes his head, and then he gestures to you to go forward through.
Zeta, I think, squeezes past, probably swims above him as it's latched onto his foot and swims through gets both hands on the edge of the door and propels himself through the opening.
Very natural movement.
Mm-hmm.
As you go down, you're followed by this creature as Rij just pries its teeth off of his leg and it falls.
Reach follows along.
In here, there is that yellow light, and it's again diffused. There's this green algae. It looks like the water. This seal is not complete. It looks like there's some flooding in the entire in this substructure.
I really hope we find a Gungan city.
No, Jaja, you saw in big doo-doo this time.
Yes, sir.
Thinking
That'd be the end of this podcast. The end.
I'm gonna play Gungan.
You see the way continues. It sort of goes at a 45-degree angle down. You can see there's a staircase, and it goes down and then levels off and goes straight. But you seem to be at the top of the staircase, sort of floating in space.
Is there any sort of pools or pockets of air where
maybe at the top of this, just inside the top,
Where we came in the door.
where you came in the door, if you were to go and just loop up real quick, there's probably a pocket of air.
Okay. Kind of just make note of it. And then he looks at Rij and motions down the end of the hall.
It's dark in here, save for the few emergency lights.
Reach pulls out a flashlight and shines it down. It gets diffused out, but at least some visible light.
You see
Zeta does the same.
small fish-like creatures. These almost look like big tadpoles the size of your forearm, just out of the light. You look around, you see there is this mossy growth that covers the inside of this entire structure, at least as this stairwell, as much as you can see. But other than that, the way is clear.
We head down the corridor.
Does everyone follow?
I think,
Or do you motion back up?
yeah, you as you kind of take a few kind of preemptive kind of swim or swimming motions down towards there, you feel like a tug and you can. Zeta points back to the surface, and
Reach nods and starts swimming back up through.
Zeta again slips through the kind of open doorway and kicks towards the surface.
It's kind of exhausting to do this. You do have that sort of experience of zero gravity, but you're still exerting yourself to kick and push against the water.
He breaks the surface. He's up tight to the building itself. He's not kind of swimming out in the open.
No?
There is a way through.
You open the hatch?
The hatch is opened, and there is a momentary, or at least an area that can be a waiting area to continue further. There is oxygen to some extent.
But the whole facility is flooded?
At least at this level. And it goes down before it goes up.
And those lizards are in there as well. You see Reach come out with his knife in one hand, a flashlight in the other.
Are you fully operational, Reach?
Yeah, I'll be fine.
We've all got a few hours with our suits. Seals on, going under.
You hear all the Navy personnel latch up.
Zeta kind of just lets his body sink slowly down the side to the doors, trying to exert as little effort as possible, and begins proceeding through the passageway. He stops at that pocket of air is to motion to those who need it.
Well, we have
vac suits.
You do too, as well.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Rhymes, he watches Reach and Zeta slide back under, and then nods, and Jensen, Derek, and Ellen all head under. And then he looks at San as he checks his seal and says, are there more of you, of your kind, still out there?
My kind?
The Jedi.
I kind of smirk and I say, I am no Jedi. The Jedi Order died before I was born, or shortly after.
You see Rhymes just look like a confused look on his face. But I saw you. I've seen the things you've done. You're one of them. It's clear that, to him, just someone that uses the Force is
right
and has lightsabers is a Jedi Knight.
I kind of look into the dark water below, and I say, no, the Jedi were hunted and killed. There are no more Jedi. There are no more Sith. The Empire is gone, and so is the Jedi Order. We must decide what we are now, what title we decide to hold.
Reej, you find another blast door. As you get down to the bottom of the stairs, you look ahead, maybe 5 meters, and there's another one of those corroded blast doors. It looks like the seal is intact. This light is like a green light.
He tries to access it normally. Does it require a security patch or anything, or?
Give me a plus Kani.
Okay. 8.
It seems like it could be accessed if you have a data pad.
Yeah.
With presumably Imperial access codes.
Yeah.
You could open this up.
He waits for Rhymes at the door, points to the green light, to the access panel, points to his arm.
Rhymes kind of slowly nods at San, and then he jumps in, not swimming, he jumps feet first, like he's making a 0G jump, and just lets the gravity pull him down, goes through the passage, kind of uses his hands to kind of push, and then when he gets down to the chamber, looks ahead, turns on his light, swims up and looks at the door.
He says, Rhymes, the door is open, or the door is operational, but it requires an Imperial signal.
I can try. It's an older code.
See if it
But I'm
checks
sure
out.
it'll check out.
They never update.
Ryan, try some
They always
standard-
say like ignore.
Ignore.
Yeah.
Remind me later. You input your old Imperial access codes, your credentials, and the door sort of flashes, it blinks, and then opens up, and water starts rushing in. And you can feel that push behind you. You're all actually pulled into this room, pushed from behind as water starts rushing into this hallway. It goes ahead another about 5 meters. There's a octagonal room with other hallways branching off, and it's now just water is now just rushing in.
After the water kind of pushes us all into the hallway, can I try to use telekinesis to hit the door button to close the door behind us?
Sure, use the force.
7.
Okay. You turn and just the door struggles a bit, but then closes as the stream of water is cut off, and you are now in air. The ground, the water filters through the grate like walkway, and you all stand up. You can see now this place, it's lit by that auxiliary yellow light. Ahead of you is a 4-way intersection with you being at the center.
Rhymes pops the seal on his helmet, takes a sniff.
It's stale. You smell that ammonia like smell with sort of like that algae, very natural smell here. Reinforces the observation that even though that door behind you was sealed, there might be other places in this structure that are
Flooded.
not. Yes.
I see that Rhymes isn't dead, so I take my helmet off.
Yeah.
Zeta
Clip it in my belt.
is lying on the ground from being like washed into this place. He reaches a hand up to the railing on the side of the walkway, slowly pulls himself up. He looks towards San and Rij, and he says to them out loud now, "Our people have been here. I sense the presence of my siblings."
You sense their presence.
The Venko.
When I tried to communicate with the station, there was a artifact, if you will, in the system that suggested that my siblings had been here.
It's possible that they investigated the facility before they left. Neither of you saw the thing on the surface, did you?
No.
It was a Kani.
What?
An old one, because it was quite large. And mutated.
Mutated how?
It had a strange mutated arm. Its skin was like you described it as slug-like, right? Is that?
Yeah. I mean, imagine.
And the Kani are humanoid.
Not always.
Not always. Okay.
Not always. Its body was sort of slug-like, but the texture of it would blend in with roots and vines and things. It was uneven, very natural
I say
looking.
it was like a shambling mass of plant material.
Careful, Jake. Careful.
We don't have rights to the SM word.
If it is a Kani, then maybe there are more on the planet.
Interesting. In the debris field of the hyphae, I did detect the presence of hypermatter. It is traditionally only exists in hyperspace, but it is capable of destroying or destabilizing matter.
I believe that the reason the Takani thought that this planet would be suitable to inhabit is because at one point it was. I think perhaps there were Takani here, and whatever the Empire did altered the planet, and in altering the planet, altered the Takani as well.
Zeta gives a short nod. These particles, if they can destabilize matter, perhaps destabilize the biological composition of the Takani.
Rhymes kind of like has a quizzical look on his face and says, I thought you said your fleet had arrived here not that long ago. I mean, how could these mutations have happened so quickly?
What the council are saying is that there was a sister race, or maybe other Takani. We spread around the world, or spread around the universe. But
Galaxy, we just used the term galaxy.
Oh, galaxy, sorry.
Yeah, just do the one.
The Takani of the fleet from Kani, they did not travel far throughout the galaxy. But that doesn't mean that at one point in their past that they didn't. It's possible that they inhabited multiple stars, and through their isolationism, they forgot about those other colonies.
It is also possible that particle radiation has accelerated mutation. Without studying it further, we do not know the rate of decay.
The Takani, unlike most other species, continue to grow as they age. Unlike humans who stop after adolescence, the Takani continue. So it is easy to judge one's age by its size.
That thing we saw out there, can they get that large?
Hundreds of years old.
there are few alive still on the fleet. Only one that I know of that would be as large as you described.
And I don't think it was them.
Very well. Well, I wish I could tell you more about this facility. I'm a simple, straight-leg trooper. All I can tell you is this is no garrison. This is no pop-up. For auxiliary power to still be running, this is a significant facility. Redundancies, backup programs. It's clear nothing's been here for some time. Things are still running. This is an investment.
It's funny, the Empire didn't consider that their little experiment would cause this facility to be underwater.
Rhymes kind of stops as he's talking, and he walks over to the wall. He puts his hand on Jensen's shoulder and kind of pushes him aside.
Sir?
Look at this. It's odd. This airlock here, they don't make them like this anymore. The Empire never made them like this. All the manufacturers, garrisons, everything changed. I haven't seen anything like this since before the Clone Wars. The way this is structured, the way this is built, whatever's up top might be Imperial, but the bones of this structure are Republic.
We should investigate.
Although it may be hard to hear, the Republic was no better when it came to sticking their fingers into things that they shouldn't be in.
You'll get no argument from us.
It's quite possible that whatever insidious operation was going on here, the Empire simply adopted it.
Rhymes is kind of walking back and forth through the chamber, and he starts nodding to himself, and he says, yes, I can say this certainly. All these access panels, everything here that's wired is Imperial. But the bones of this structure, the foundation, this is Republic build.
Let's see if we can find a database.
You have a couple of options. There seems to be sort of to your right. It looks like it's flooded even more. And using your navigational skills, that leads further away from that ridge, further away from the relay and that disk array. And it's that one it's flooded. Straight ahead just looks to go in deeper, and it is not flooded. It looks like it's clear to go. It's everything is dark here except for intermittently you get those yellow auxiliary lights. And then to the left, it looks like sort of access tunnels, but you get this strong sort of natural, this musk coming from that direction.
Natural musk.
Yeah, that's a pass.
Well, if I've learned anything from video games, there's loot at the bottom of the flooded tunnel.
Fact. Zeta turns after looking at the 3 ways forward. It is likely that controls are located centrally. I suggest we move forward. And he gestures to the one that kind of goes to the heart of the ship or structure.
I agree.
Very well.
Yeah. We step out towards the center of this structure, or
Okay.
what we believe to be the center.
That's straight ahead.
Yep.
You get to another 4-way intersection. To your left, again, that smell of musk seems like a similar sort of wing. Whether it's Republic or Imperial, these places are segmented. These places are segmented. There are wings, compartments. It's all very organized in a grid-like construction. To the right, you see there's another sealed blast door, and there's another airlock, but this one, it looks like the blast door has been engaged, and so there's this heavy, dark metal door. You know that these are very difficult to open manually. You suspect your access codes might work. At the very best, at the very worst, you'd have to get into the command center and reactivate these things. It does appear that this place has power.
Why don't we try your access codes? Might get us through.
Give it a shot. These will have lockouts. Can try once, but if it doesn't go through...
Understood.
Who's doing it? Who's going to try to interface? There is a standard access terminal on the outside.
Rhymes tries his Imperial access code first.
Okay. Reej, you want to help?
Yep.
Give me a plus Kani. Take a +1 because of your Imperial codes.
Nice.
That's a fail. It's a 5 total.
Okay.
I got a 10 if you wanted me to roll.
To help.
So you got a +1
6.
from your codes.
Still
6
failing.
total.
I have a suggestion.
Yeah.
The system recognizes his codes as invalid. The entire system blocks him as a user.
You get it's this.
Well, I level up.
Nice.
Nice.
Do
Put in the
level
wrong.
up?
You put in the wrong code and then learn how to shoot better.
This is a pretty simple security system. It's called the DAR, denied access rebound. Whenever anyone tries to access something that they should not, it system-wide denies them access to any further systems. They became especially prevalent in the later years of the Galactic Civil War, used to deter mutineers such as yourself.
It's working.
An effective
Systems
system.
operational.
Rhymes kind of grimaces and steps back and says, well, I don't think that's good. I may have locked us out.
The system recognizes that you are not, or you do not have access. Is that correct?
Correct. And I think it might make our future efforts more difficult.
You see,
Can you speak to systems that are unfamiliar to you?
yes, but that does not guarantee access.
Well, the one thing that showed is that this is not just a door lock. The overall system of the station is still engaged. It's not just auxiliary power. Whatever is the central programming, the command center, is still active here.
Based on the layout of this structure, do you have a probable guess as to where the command center is located?
No, this is not... sorry, the pause was me looking at the GM, who shook his head.
Shake my head.
This is nothing... I'm not anything high access. I'm in and out of garrisons. This is a specialized structure, something of a research program, whatever it is here.
It could be anywhere. This could go straight down. This could spread laterally. There's no set format for this kind of base.
While it is possible for me to access this particular door and others, I fear that the continued strain upon my system will eventually cause me to fail.
Trying to translate that in my head.
He reaches down towards the panel. Perhaps it is safe to assume that security such as this would denote an important area behind. Devin, Zeta is going to try and use one of his slicer abilities, Black Hat, to access a system that he is not allowed to.
Great. Do it.
10.
What does that get you?
That gets me on a 10 plus, you are in. Yeah, roll plus Kani on a 10 plus, you're in. On a 7 to 9, you're in, but personnel or electronic defenses are inbound. So a 10 would mean that we're not going to get eaten by giant musk monsters.
It's a weird assumption.
Mm-hmm.
You hear as the blast doors slowly begin to slide away.
Zeta still has his hand on the panel. It looks like his body is very still, even while the things begin to happen.
Door opens, and then pretty easily, once you're in the system, you can open up the airlock as well.
Zeta just remains in that position, one hand resting on the panel, pretty much motionless. If you were guessing, he probably is exerting some sort of effort to make this happen. And then once it opens, his hand kind of drops to his side, and he opens his eyes. Access is granted.
Is it straining?
It is.
Physically demanding on you?
Yes. Much like any activity.
We need to get you that food.
Agreed. Perhaps there are answers here.
The smell of death just wafts out of this place. You see inside it looks like a common area that you would find on a ship or in a station, big table. There are bins, cabinets, trunks, containers that have all been opened. There's packaging lying around, and the room is littered with bodies. All of them seem to be sitting at the edges of the room on the ground, one person even laying on the table. They're all dead and decaying. Life sign was sort of life support readings from your data pads. The sensors in your suit show that once this lock was disengaged, that the life support functions in this place as normal. But these people were sealed inside and starved to death.
By the four gods.
Does it look like they've been here for a really long time?
Difficult to say how long because of actually, no, it's not, because this place was sealed, sort of sterile. They've been here almost 2 years.
Are they wearing uniforms?
Imperial uniforms.
I go over and I pluck off one of the little cough drop things.
You can tell these are science officers.
I say Imperials, science officers. They starved in here.
They've been here long.
Probably a few years.
Devin, does it look like there are only science officers here? Like there's no soldiers? Like there's no obviously this facility would have some sort of defense force. None of them.
There seems to be one army officer, but they do appear to have sort of the insignia of someone in the like a commissioned officer in the science sort of arm of the army. And there's a blaster at their side. And actually it looks like they took their own life. with the blaster.
Zeta walks into the room, kind of assessing the area. The question here is whether they locked themselves in or were locked in.
Stands to reason. They polluted this planet and tore it from the natural order. We know the planet would fight back.
Doesn't make sense. It's 2 years ago. This is the year before Endor. The Empire was strong. They should have been able to call for help. They should have been able to... This facility was important. There's something else.
Maybe not that important. And we are further in the rim.
If we can find the command center, answers may lie there.
Does this room look like the command center? Or is it just kind of a...
No, this looks like a mess.
Mess hall?
Do any of them have data pads?
They do.
None of the halls that have led up to this, like we saw no signs of like battle damage, anything like that leading up to this.
Give me a Kani. You're going to take a look back the way you came.
Zeta picks up one of the data pads and hands it to Riege.
9.
Riege.
You do see the moist air has degraded some of the evidence, but it's still clear that there were blasters fired. You see the streaks, the burns on the wall. You also see some of the paneling on the wall and on these grates is uneven, as if something heavy crashed into them.
Riege takes the data panel or data pad from Zeta, powers it on, and he hooks it into his data pad battery, powers it on.
Something tried to get in. Maybe it was one of your Takani. He points up at the wall. Blaster bolts. Something hammering here. This could have been internal. It could have been droids that did that. I don't know. This isn't as simple as flooding, a problem with life support. This facility has the resources to deal with that kind of thing. Something else trapped these men here or made them decide they had to hold up here and to hold until they died.
Riege, that data pad, really without any access, security access, you're only able to identify comm log history. Yeah. But there's a whole archive that each of these researchers were able to access.
Looks like there are multiple sites. Read this. Listen here. Outer rim testing sites producing favorable results. They remain compartmentalized for now, but results will be hard to keep secret for long. Retrofitting Republic-era beam emitters has been made easier with the Emperor himself allotting resources. Your idea of nobody coming for help, you're right, that is strange. If the Emperor himself is seeing these projects done, you would think there would be some military presence.
Things were stretched then. We were being sent from one corner of the galaxy to another. But if this was important enough, I would have think resources were devoted here. It was a trying time.
And maybe the Emperor saw that this experiment had failed and left those who failed him to die. Isn't that his way?
Or another experiment succeeded.
Or they were infected with something.
Do you think... Riege shakes his head. He pulls out a death stick and lights it. Do you think our fleet destroyed the Hyphae? He looks around at everyone. Out of fear of this?
The nature of its destruction does not correlate with anything in our arsenal.
Beam emitter. Do we know what that is? Could that be a weapon? Could that be what destroyed the Hyphae?
The dish located outside could possibly emit such a thing.
Signal beams? perhaps tuned enough to become dangerous.
But your siblings were here. They found this place. That's what you think? You feel that they were here?
That is what the evidence would suggest.
This data pad suggests that there are other sites like this. Perhaps that's where the fleet went. Perhaps they went to investigate these other sites to see if perhaps those sites weren't
contaminated.
Yes.
Well, I can't get much more on this pad without access. Zeta, I don't know if you want to have a try at breaking through, but I know you are weak.
There may be a communication room or something of the sort. Perhaps we could find out if they were transmitting to these other sites. It would make sense that they'd be sharing information.
Other sites may be planetary as well.
But if we can find out where those other sites are, it might be a lead to where the fleet went.
It is a possibility. Zeta will collect, I think, as many data pads as he can, hand them off to one of the droids. And what options are there off of this room in terms of directions, in terms of...
Looking out from this room, you go straight ahead, and it's that, looks like that wing that has been reclaimed by nature. To the right, looks like another staircase that goes down.
Is it off of this room, or is that before this room? Okay, so this room is kind of like the dead end.
Yes, this is a dead end. Yep.
No pun intended. Okay, I think he'll collect the data pads, and based off of what Rij says, he said, it would likely be best if I could perform this research back aboard the Wandering Star.
Yeah. And perhaps I can disassemble some of that disk, understand what these beam emitters are.
There are still other parts of this station that may yield more answers. I suggest we pursue them.
Listen, I'm sorry. I'm just down here to make sure we all get back, all right? I'm just a dumb grunt. But talk me through what you suspect. Your fleet was here. You're looking for a homeworld. You start building a station in the asteroid belt. Something on this planet that interests you, and yet it fails. One of your main ships is destroyed. What are you thinking happened here? Something on the planet destroyed it?
Perhaps.
We're not sure what destroyed it, but whatever it was of immense power. It wasn't a regular ship weapon. You saw the debris field that we went through. It was dust. It wasn't wreckage.
Additionally, the damage was sustained when the atmosphere of the planet was free of storms or interference, suggesting that a clear line of sight may have been needed.
If it's possible that this facility is some sort of weapon, has the capability of sending a beam that could destroy a ship, we don't know. But according to that data pad, there are others. This isn't the only one.
Rhymes he moves to the side. He sits down like on a bench, puts the blaster rifle at his side, butt on the ground. He says, the Empire doesn't... Everything was done with redundancy. Everything that we ever did. You know, I'm sure, about the Death Stars?
We heard.
All three of them.
What? Spoiler.
No one even knew that this second Death Star was being built before Endor. That didn't happen because of one single project. Every project the Empire endeavored on, there were 30 sub-projects that supported it. Things that we would go to support, clear. The kind of weapon you're talking about is the kind of weapon that was part of that. That whatever, it was highly secretive, of course, but It's not something that's beyond the Empire's ability. Before it was built into a station, it would make sense that it was built somewhere and tested. People were pulled into projects, compartmentalized. Didn't you say that in that message?
Yeah.
My son was part of a project. He was pulled from top of his academy class, promoted ahead of his time. It wasn't till about 6 months after Endor that I found out that he was on that station when it was destroyed. He was the best of his peers.
What was the nature of his research?
Far too smart for me. He excelled in everything. Science. He had every opportunity. I told him. His goddamn rich Carillion mother. We were never married. Every corporation in the world begging him to come and work for them. Somehow thought it would be better to follow his father's footsteps, but do it a lot more capably than I did. He was a true believer. Rhymes kind of shakes his head. The point is, I lost contact with him. I spoke to him twice in the last 2 years before that. He wasn't the only one who went through that. These programs are everywhere, of different natures, of different sorts. The more you get out, dig in, the more you'll find these seeds. Don't underestimate what the Empire was capable of. And if this was the right spot for it, this could have been anything.
Well, it's all too clear now why Orin told Yorick to come here. If that is a weapon, the weapon that is fabled on this Death Star, that was prototyped here, well, it makes only sense for a Moff who wants to rule the galaxy to recreate that weapon of destruction.
There's 100 or 1,000 Moff Yorks out there. And there's 100 or 1,000 stations like this. And I'm sorry for what happened to your fleet.
If this is a hypermatter beam, who fired it?
That is a good question.
Not these men.
What about the Kani? Do you think they may still have some level of intelligence? Constantly, you saw them.
The one I saw didn't seem... It didn't seem aware. It didn't have a spark of life behind its eyes. It was corrupted.
The planet, it wants to defend itself. It was attacked. It has memory. We know this. The Takani speak of it often. The memories of their forebears and the memories of the soil and the air and the trees. This planet was defending itself.
San, you get an oppressive feeling. You instinctively look over your shoulder through the door, across that intersection, in that hallway being reclaimed by nature, the one with that musky smell. The hallway seems to expand and contract as it, in your vision, moves closer. You move closer and then further away, dilating, contracting. That oppressive feeling of fear. And then it passes.
You think the planet fired this weapon? These men have been dead for years.
With the help of these Takani, if it can control them, yes.
Devin, did you say that the tower and the dish were covered over by kind of organic plant life and stuff?
Almost like it was...
Like ivy would wrap around something?
Yeah. Growing up as if these structures have been here for a long time. And again, nature, the same thing with this station. Nature attempting to reclaim them.
It's a bold conjecture. far beyond my ability to understand it. It doesn't get us any closer to understanding where your fleet may have gone.
No. But maybe this facility may have a record of the direction or the hyperspace signal. We need to get through the logs.
I walk down to that hallway.
While we're talking.
Yeah.
Kind of walks off. I like that. Very Jedi-like. Very not Jedi-like.
Force users with lightsabers. Fool. Fool.
You hear the others talking, it becomes muted as you walk. And that smell, that musk, that ammonia starts to change into something else, something sweet, alluring. It's dark in here. You can see ahead those yellow lights being cast through something green. You can see there's natural growth, like moss, covering them. This dim light. All you can really see are shapes. To your right and to your left in this large room, you see walkways. And in front of you, it empties into a large room. Almost like a hangar, the size of it. Lining the walls in rows all the way up. You can see these pods, plastisteel, but they're covered over with mildew, vines, moss. But you can see that little plastisteel sheen behind them. That musky smell is still sweet. You see a shape sort of moving at the bottom of the room, but it doesn't seem to notice you.
I go over to, I go towards the wall. Can I get to those plastisteel pods? Or they?
No. So you walk into this room and there's a railing and it drops down about 5 meters, another floor. And then straight ahead of you against that wall are those rows of pods. Directly below you can see there's tables and consoles, but they're both submerged in water, and this layer of algae-like film covers all of them. It looks almost like, if you didn't know better, just a natural ground outside.
I walk over to the railing, and I just kind of, much like the way Zeta kind of will grab like a electrical wire, and I touch one of the vines of the growth, and I reach out to it.
With the force?
Yes.
Roll me plus deep.
Use the force, Luke.
11.
Ooh.
This is the only way you can describe it is an organism that has grown in this place. You look at those pods and you see some of them are breached. Most of them are breached. This viney growth has grown into them, actually, and fills them. There's almost these pods have become terrariums of this growth. You see that some are still whole, but they're almost all covered.
I say out loud as I am touching this vine and sort of trying to feel the extent of its reach. What this organism has enveloped, like how far it extends. I say out loud, are you of the Kani?
The whole room darkens a bit. You hear a voice behind you. It is not like you and I, my apprentice. Do not try to sway such a thing. Your fear serves you well. This abomination should be destroyed. You look down and you can see that creature, that same paralyzing fear is only kept at bay by the fact that it doesn't notice that you're here.
I say the Emperor wanted to use it.
The Emperor is dead.
Something I reminded you of so often. I let go of the plant and I make my way back to them. I come back and I say, Captain Rhymes is right. Orn will try to take this place and use it as a weapon. We should destroy it before we leave.
I agree.
Did you find an access point? Zeta kind of turns to you, kind of ignoring the statement you just made.
I don't believe that there is a central access point. Oh, yeah?
There's stairs.
I
Onto the water?
I say below us, I think.
Is the way clear?
No, it's flooded.
That should not be a problem for me.
I think we should try to gather whatever information we can, see if there are other sites, and see if we can activate this weapon before we leave.
Activate it.
Yeah.
Elaborate.
If we can overload the beam emitter, it should overheat and explode, destroying the facility.
I just nod. Yeah, that's all I was going to say. Yeah.
If it is a hypermatter ray, it will likely destroy the planet as well.
The planet has already been destroyed.
It might be for the best.
Zeta seems to pause to think about this. Your conclusion is warranted.
Collect whatever information you can get. I'll get working on how to cross the wires on the beam emitter, get it to overheat.
Very well. Please show me the way.
All right.
Downstairs. The walkway is flooded. You see doors, so the stairway goes down, turns 180 degrees, goes down again, so that now on your right, you know that there's that room with the pods, Son. And straight ahead, to your left, there are a couple of larger doors that seem to enter into a command center. Again, it's flooded.
I lead him into the flooded room.
Are the doors below the water line?
The water line comes up to about the middle of the door. So you can wade through it and walk through it. You can feel the ground. That grate is slippery. Vines and grasses and things are interwoven between them. It's growing into it.
What are those pods? These clones?
Oh, I avoid going that way. I mean, unless you can see it from the hallway.
Those doors are closed.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't want to go that way.
There's door. It says R1 and R2. It looks like a research facility on the doors that are clearly demarcated.
Write that down. That's
cut
important.
that.
R1 and R2 along with B7.
We gotta punch that code in.
It's an escape room, right?
Yep, sure.
We're missing one more.
When Zeta last communicated with the station to open the blast doors, did he get any sense of his siblings again?
No.
Okay. Zeta kind of just continues down the stairs into the water, doesn't slow down, and wades across the room towards the control panel.
Many of these control panels are destroyed. There's growth popping up through them, between them. You see one particular set of controls that are familiar to you. It looks like similar hardware, software that would be used to control the Genesis pods. You see another control panel that clearly anyone with any military experience, or at least experience with Imperial military technology, Rij, Rhymes, maybe San, you notice it's a firing control station.
Just from the audience perspective, do they all know what
No.
these pods are? Like the characters?
The only one who is, you mean the pods in the big room?
Yeah.
Only
Only
Son
Son has
saw
seen
those.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But have I seen them before, you mean? Like, has my character seen them before?
Yeah, I mean, like, are these like, that's how you make Venku?
That's a good question. Do they look like the ones that were on the space station?
They're similar. They're
Okay.
these sort of bean shaped
Yep.
with a plastisteel outer covering. But again, that room was only lit by like a diffused auxiliary lighting. You could just recognize like the form of them. You didn't know if any of them, what was in them.
They look like capsules that contain bodies.
I mean,
They could contain anything.
I figured they contain some sort of bodies, but yeah, I don't mention it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just didn't know if like,
If it was a Venku
audience
pod.
perspective, if like that, you guys immediately like assumed that's what that was.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right,
I assumed it was some sort of bodies, just because when you say that there's a room full of
Pods.
pods, that's But I hadn't. Yeah, I hadn't thought like, oh yeah, my character has probably seen the pods that like Dan was born out of. But so similar, but not identical.
Sure.
Yeah.
So there are multiple panels outside of these doors.
Oh, I'm sorry. You can get in. You get into the
Sure.
control center. The doors were malfunctioned, it's ajar. Again, there's like vine growth that has pushed them open, and you're able to get into that command center
Through prying and physical force between all of us. Okay, cool.
And that's where you saw these, the control panels in this control center in disarray. That's where you see that interface that's very similar to your Genesis pod. It looks like a lot of science in here, except for this one sort of modular piece that looks like a firing control. Imperial design.
Rhymes probably just shrugs and says, "This is all up beyond me. The only thing I know is that the weapons panel."
Yeah, clock that too. I think I'll try to open it up, see if I can start crossing some wires and figuring out how this thing works.
This panel seems incongruent with what we presume this station to be. It would suggest that they were making synthetic life here.
Maybe the terraforming project, creating life, animals, those lizards themselves could be cloned.
I think that may have been the original purpose of this facility, perhaps when it was part of the Republic. But I gesture to the Imperial weapon panel and say, I think the Empire changed the purpose of this facility.
A late addition.
Perhaps they used the latent power source for this weapon.
Possible.
There's still residual power in this room, right, Devin?
Auxiliary power, yeah. Life support and lights. You could try and get other things back online.
Yes, I think that's what Zeta is. Maybe I can make a... maybe it's just an assess roll, or it's using Black Hat when interfacing with a computer system or network, and you need to use it without permission to begin the process of providing power to the stations inside this room.
I think that might get you access once things are powered on.
Sure.
It sounds like the stuff you're talking about is sort of what
Riege would do.
Yeah.
Yep.
But you think you could pull life support, other systems, and get power to at least some of these panels, at least the ones that are operational.
Yeah, Riege
Intact.
is pulling out cables and extending them over to other panels, pulls out a floorboard and like unhooks a power cable, drags it over to a console you're at.
Water starts draining out of the room through that panel that you lift up.
This should get whatever auxiliary power there is. It's in those panels.
Understood. Approximately how much power do I have?
It's probably running at about 20% power. Those panels themselves are maybe at 80, 90%.
We will be looking to collect the data logs.
As Region Zeta are working, like technically, like digging in, doing all their things, Rhymes just kind of just stand there. The other troopers are posted up. And he looks over at Zahn and he says, I don't know how much any of this means to you or matters, but if it does, the Empire didn't do things for efficiency. If this place was repurposed, if there was a garrison, there was a regiment, there was a base there, they needed reinforcements. There were times they would, instead of building up the base, they would just come in and build a new base that was designed for a division, because that was what the resources were laid out for. They wouldn't have just taken this place because it existed and repurposed it. It would only be because it served more of a purpose. I don't know if that means anything to you or your people or them, but he kind of shrugs and...
I don't know. I'm not sure what they were up to here.
I don't understand what they are. He looks as Reg and Zeta keep working. I've seen clones. I'm familiar with how they're made, but what you describe, these different races, I don't exactly understand it.
I don't think they fully understand it either, if I'm being honest. Zeta, you've heard the way he speaks about himself and his powers. Relates more with S3 than he does with many humans he meets. They are very different from us. Everything about their people, their upbringing, the way they're born, it's hard for us to understand it. They are in many ways similar to clones.
Dangerous.
Yes, but you know that most flowers are clones.
Flowers, like
A nod.
the ones that grow?
Yes.
No. He watches as they like scurry around doing their work. I never trusted clones. It just could never relate to them. You fight along someone who's existed for 6 months. It was hard to think of them as a person.
As you say that, Zeta's kind of lanky, gray-black form strides across the room. His white eyes look down towards you, and he addresses both of you. I believe we are ready to begin the data transfer.
Oh, hey, I wasn't talking about you.
Oh, hey, how you doing? No.
Talking about flowers.
Do you have system access?
Not yet. Power is coming online.
I found access to the cooling for the beam emitter. I can rewire it, so when we're ready, we can turn it on.
Give me a technical savant. See if that's...
I'm actually using homegrown solutions,
Okay, cool.
which doesn't necessarily require a roll, but I'll roll for Kani because
Sure.
that makes sense for me.
What is the? Can you describe that move?
Yeah, it says when you have time to improvise a solution to a problem, usually an explosive one, tell the GM what you are trying to achieve, and the GM will tell you a cost in time and gear, maybe a roll as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Do I fail this or do I luck it out?
Ooh, yeah. This is a big one. Fail. The planet explodes.
I know what happens if I fail is it starts to happen and we don't have much time to get data.
Well,
Yeah, it could be fun. I'll fail. I rolled a
There you go.
Mark experience.
That's
that's
Monster
it.
of the Week
That's
style.
the Monster of the Week way.
Take the fail.
This is the way.
This is the way.
Take the fail. Push the narrative.
Well, as he's grabbing the cable, crossing wires. You see on the weapon control panel, it's like that. Literally the Death Star.
The Death Star.
the
Here, put on this little cone-shaped helmet before you do that.
I got a cool
No,
helmet.
turn it around. The pointy part goes to the back.
They get their own uniform.
Yeah. You see him pull a cable out, unplug one, cross them over, and the emitter on the lever, the what am I trying to say? The display on the weapon panel lights up, and it goes from red to orange to green, as if the lever was pushed forward, and you hear. And Reese goes, "Oh no. We need to get out of here now. Like right now. The weapon is going. The weapon has been activated. I don't know why.
This is not what we discussed.
I know, Zeta. I don't know what happened, but we need to get out now.
I need more time.
We don't have time.
In order to find the fleet, I need more time." Zeta strides across to the panel, and he puts his hand on the panel, closes his eyes, and just he's going to again try to use Black Hat and start accessing the information that's on board.
Jets and troopers, that thing's out there. Post up.
Yeah, that's a 13.
Jesus.
Lame.
Yeah, lame.
What do you get? Just you have access?
I have access.
You start just pulling data and you feel a shake above you.
He turns and summons a droid to him.
B1?
Not B1. He's back on board the ship. One of these other ones.
Probe droids.
He waves it over to him, and he plugs it into the station and begins transferring all data to the droid.
You hear that noise, that smell of ammonia.
Mask up. We're going up. Bounding. One moves, one covers.
You see this big shape just whirl around the door, a big arm pulling it forward. What do you do?
Fucking light it up.
Going blazing.
I succeed.
12.
Why can't you feel like cool guys like me and blow up the station?
I never get experience.
You spurred your team into action early, and red blaster bolts are striking it as soon as it rounds that corner. Choose. What's your? Give me your choices.
The main priority is making a path. So, I'm going to try to expose or create a weakness and take something from my opposition. That is its position, and the weakness I'm trying to expose is basically it's going to have to fully expose itself to chase us. So I'm picturing it's coming in one way, we kind of blast it back, and we have free access to the stairwell. We get ourselves up into the stairwell, so if it pursues, we have like full enfilading fire down on it.
So here's what happens. You're in the room. You're looking at those two doors that lead back out into the hallway. Those are straight ahead. To your right is a door that goes is adjacent to the stairwell. To your left is the one that is further from the stairwell. That thing comes down the stairs, shows itself in that doorway that's closest to the stairs. The team blasts it, and it rushes past that door, and you see that arm loop around the other door. You all have a path to the stairwell. That droid is still connected, but this thing you've now cleared a way to the stairwell and pushed this thing to take the long way around to get into you. But it is still going to attempt to come into this into the command center.
Counselor, we need to go now.
How much harm do you do with that blaster?
3.
We need to hold it back until the droid is done.
And I guess my third option, I will inflict terrible harm.
Okay.
So one more.
I gave you +1 because I'm just adding +1 harm from your squad.
Cool.
Zeta, how long?
Unknown.
The exit is not going to stay open. We need to move now.
Can you transmit that data to the Wandering Star if it's above us? Remotely?
Please hold.
Talk to the damn thing when you get up above. Isn't that how you work?
Zeta begins kind of sifting through the possible commands, and he wants to broadcast the current data that's being accessed across the radio beam.
That is possible thanks to Regis' augments to the droid.
Okay. He will command the computer to do so, and as soon as he does, he disconnects by pulling his hand back.
Okay.
Reese grabs the communicator to S3. He goes, S3, get the star ready to go. Get it above our position. And we kind of zoom over to there. It goes, and its little droid arm goes into the command as the door closes and the gear come up as it goes into a lifting position.
This is called out a Pike. We get a large energy reading coming from the surface. Do you read?
We need extraction above the facility. And we need to get out of here fast.
Roger, moving into position.
Zeta breaks free from the console and begins moving towards the cleared way.
This thing is shambling through the command center towards you. You only have mere moments.
As everyone kind of makes their way out, I'm gonna wait at the end of the hallway as this thing is coming towards us.
Bottom of the stairwell.
Yeah. And I'm gonna stand in defense. As it approaches, I take out my lightsabers.
Embrace your fear.
The sepia tones of this subterranean facility are lit red. This creature, you can see it just to your left as you look back down the hallway, coming through the command center. Coming through that door, your teammates are moving up behind you, and you see that arm. It grabs the side of the door and pulls itself. Its head, that crest, it lowers towards you to slam into you. Roll your stand in defense.
I think I roll. Yeah.
Roll plus rugged. Oh no, are you doing a force thing?
It's a power 8.
Okay.
So I get armor 1.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But if you're standing in defense,
I also roll stand in defense, right? So that's just
sure.
to activate the power.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. And then defense is rugged.
Yep.
8.
Okay. Choose one.
inflict harm on your attackers. You see what you're defending to safety, or your efforts inspire or frighten others.
I'll see what I'm defending to safety.
This thing slams its head into you. You're thrown back onto the stairs, and it sort of coils back and coils up. That big arm, as it rises up, it like rakes against the ceiling, and it comes down. You swing with one of your lightsabers, and you cut off like the ends of its fingers, like a seal door cut off Sauron's hand, and it slams into the ground at your feet. Sorry, I don't know if that's loud. I just wanted to make a dramatic. It's still crawling. You're crawling back up the stairs. Your lightsaber is out in front of you. Your team is running up the stairs. Anyone else doing anything as you hear the sort of as this thing is cut?
Did he take any harm from that?
Yeah, take 2.
I asked.
1 because of armor.
Because I wanted to use. I leveled up. I took an ability from another playbook.
Ooh.
Partisan. Stand together or fall apart.
Cool.
When fighting beside someone, if they take harm, you can take up to 2 of that harm as armor-piercing harm yourself instead.
Okay.
So, Rhymes is clearly like the whole Jedi thing is really affected him.
Yep.
It's brought him back to his roots. Fucking 19 years old fighting the Clone Wars. He sees Son light up the lightsabers, this thing going towards it,
Good guy lightsabers.
cutting away, and Rhymes has fought alongside Jedi before. I'm sorry, Force users with lightsabers.
Foul.
And he kind of remembers some of the basic stuff that the Jedi Knights taught him about how to help without getting in the way. And he looks at the patterns and he finds time to jut forward. So he's blasting. His blasters aren't really doing any damage, but he comes in and he kind of steps in as he finishes a pattern and takes the hit as the arm swings in.
You feel a hand on your back, Son, grab you and start pulling you up the stairs. You get away from this thing. This thing is shambling up the stairs as you turn and run. You can hear to your right in that room, that big room with the pods, you hear popping and shattering of plasticsteel in this.
Nope.
No, thank you.
Nope.
No, thank you.
And you're running. Everyone give me an act under pressure.
Plus cool.
Yep. You get to that airlock and you punch it and it opens up and water starts rushing in, pushing against you.
8.
7.
9.
13. Get to roll double sixes.
Give your crew a command. They'll do something and they'll see people to safety if that's what you wish.
Get the crew of the Wandering Star out. Hold behind them.
Push. They form a line. They interlock, and they push everyone into that into the airlock. And Jensen, as he gets in, he swings his arm around and slams on the control just as that water pushes Jensen, Derek, and Ellen back into the facility as the blast doors close.
Whoa. Whoa.
You're like, you look back just for a moment and you hear this slam, this sickening slam against that door, and it buckles, and you push and swim up that staircase. Water is still filling this chamber. You push up and up and up. Eventually, when you get to the top, it's full and you can swim out to the surface. You see the Wandering Star just coming in. You hear above you.
Sorry, I wasn't ready. I was still thinking about Jensen.
And that door
Pops down. S3 is at the top of the ramp.
Yep.
With a little arm in the control panel.
Yep. And that lift is open. You all can climb in. You check your data pad, one of those data pads that you were beaming information to. It's linked with the Wandering Star now. And as the Wandering Star pulls away, you look at it.
Is that dish the emitter? You see it glowing, hot red, yellow, and then white as a beam starts to materialize at the end of the emitter.
I immediately run up to the cockpit and get in like the communication seat and calm the guillotine.
These are the subjects.
Initially, yes.
Okay.
Steam starts to rise as the water around this facility boils from the heat.
You're leaving the atmosphere, and it looks like there's this great cloud that's amassing over this gray zone where you were, and there's it's being drawn in and swirling around. You can see that grayish cloud start spinning.
I say, over the comm, I say, Guillotine, this is Wandering Star. Increase shields to full power. Brace for possible shockwave.
Wandering Star, this is Guillotine, confirmed. Raising shields.
Get those TIE fighters away from this planet.
They start rising out of the atmosphere. You get out. Those sublight engines kick into high gear as you make towards the asteroid field. The ship, as it's in that upper atmosphere, You feel it shake a little bit, and you look behind you, and you see this sickening green. What's the word?
Pulse. Wave.
Throb.
Discharge. Ejaculate. High five. Very nice.
You see this sickening green ejection from the center of the gray zone.
Better.
The clouds are lit from behind, and it forms this sheet of green. As you can see, even from here, some of the atmosphere being burned away. You make it to the edge of the asteroid field. Entering the asteroid field now should give us some cover from the radiation. And this hard bank, this hard turn. TIE fighters cruise next to you. And you make it into the asteroid field. Sublight engines power down, moving on impulse. You have a moment to collect yourself.
Rij is sitting at his workbench, clearing out his data pad, and downloading the logs from it from what he was doing in the facility, and realizes when he was manipulating the weapons control device, he grabbed logs from that. He looks at it. He says, "The laser array that was fired manually. Somebody gave them a firing solution, and it was Imperial codes that fired the weapon. It wasn't the planet doing it. Somebody betrayed the fleet."
Zeta's having real regret saying that he felt the presence of his siblings down there.
I think I look at Zeta when he says that because of that comment that he made before.
Zeta's face is pretty unreadable.
What did the droid get, Zeta?
The subject matters seem to include information from the station's original purpose. The initial functions included tech, long-range spectrometry, hyperspace communication, and a project labeled Source. One additional point of interest that I discovered: some of the early surveys of the beam emitters identified a gas giant, one that bears a ring rich in calamite, one that my people, my siblings, may have identified as a viable resource.
We should have seen it sooner, of course. When the ship was destroyed, they would need a food source.
So they investigated.
That's where we'll find them.
It still does not answer the question, who fired upon the Hyphae?
All this log entry says is it was done with Imperial codes.
When we return to the fleet, assuming we find them there, we're going to have to find out who fired that weapon. I suggest that we keep this information between us. We have the advantage of knowing that someone did this. There's no need to make them aware that we're looking.
I agree. Though, the council, should we make them aware?
The Council has bodies or entities that represent all factions within the fleet, including Imperial.
Do we have any Imperial?
Do we?
The question...
Someone who has Imperial codes doesn't necessarily need to be Imperial.
Right.
Rhymes is sitting by the back ramp of the Wandering Star, listening to this whole conversation, but just kind of staring at the bulkhead opposite him.
Can we trust the Council?
That is an excellent question. There's at least one I don't trust.
For now, I think we should keep this information between us. Use the advantage of secrecy.
Yes. Between us, he looks at Rhymes. Reach looks at Rhymes.
Rhymes is probably still facing the.
There's like a long silence probably as you look at him, and he kind of like feels it for a second, looks to the side, says, I'll be giving Commander Khan a full report of what I saw there. You can speak to her about that.
Very well.
And I hope whatever this information is worth to you, you can do some good with it. Because to me, it's not worth one fucking Jensen. It's not even worth one Derek.
Captain Rhymes, I understand it is common protocol to apologize when comrades are lost. I am sorry.
He looks at you blank, and then
his face
kind of
is blank.
smirks.
Yep.
Like kind of slowly, kind of smiles, and he goes, "Sure thing."
He nods.
He stands up and walks up into the compartment, the forward cockpit.
Yep. Zeta turns to the two of you. It would seem like we have a viable location to proceed to.
It seems like this gas giant is probably where the fleet went.
I concur.
Approaching renewal. Prepare for landing.
Was there an explosion or anything?
Mm-hmm.
There was a
Just the discharge
of
Okay.
energy that seemed to have a very significant effect on the atmosphere.
Okay.
Maybe the effects of it won't be known immediately.
Interesting.
Rhymes goes to get on whatever craft or shuttle he took over, and he says, "No one will know but Khan. You can speak to her about whatever you want to do beyond that."
Understood.
We appreciate your help, Rhymes, and we're sorry for your loss.
I'm glad you got what you're looking for. And we might be following you there anyway.
Seems like we could use the help.
I'll let the commander know. Counselor can follow up with her.
Thank you, Captain, for everything.
He just kind of nods and walks into his craft, hits the ramp.
Airlock engages. Standing on the other side of the door is Karn. There's a couple of security personnel flanking her. She looks at Rhymes and then looks beyond and then back at Rhymes.
3K. They got what they were looking for. They have a spot to jump.
The two stormtroopers.
On our way to not being stormtroopers. They did well. I have a favor to ask you, Commander. If you don't mind fasting a bit.
She nods.
If you can summon the rest of the officers to the mess when we get back, I'll explain. Need a favor on this. I think it might help.
Yes, sir.
Quick scene.
Yeah.
The doors to the detention area open up, and Rhymes steps in. He's holding a tray of food. He steps in, kind of waits for the stormtroopers to kind of stand up, get their attention.
They all stand up.
He starts to walk in. He takes the tray of food. He says, "Corporal, hit the latch." The little fucking access trays open, puts the tray of food down. It says, "Troopers Derek and Ellen didn't make it back from the planet. They served exceptionally well. The mission was accomplished. Despite our best efforts, we did not bring them home. You did not earn this food. Derek and Ellen earned this food. You will eat today because of them. Commander." He turns and Commander Karn walks in, followed by all the other officers of the ship. They all come in one at a time, put their tray of food down, slide it across to the stormtroopers. Rhyme stands there, waits for them to all put their food down and exit.
The stormtroopers have all taken their helmets off. Most of them, they appear to be the same person.
Enjoy your meal. Taste what your brothers did for you. That's what it means to be part of a family. To be part of a crew. Corporal, lock it up.
Yes, sir.
Rhymes turns and exits.
Awesome.
I'm just trying to get you guys some stormtroopers.
Mark experience.
I'm sick.
19 stormtroopers.
Back in the bridge. No. We're in the main hangar bay of Space Station Renewal. Karn, Rhymes, San, Rej, Zeta. A couple other supporting personnel. Karn looks at Zeta. Ord Ibana, you said?
That is correct. That is the name of the planet for the possible jump.
Are you sure they're there?
No.
Okay. I promised you I would help. I can't make a jump like this with 179 souls, 178. I want you go to Ordibana. We'll send you with whatever you need, whatever you can fit on the wandering star. When you reach a civilized planet, contact us. We'll meet you there. It's going to take the rest of what we have to make that jump, but we'll steward the space station for now. On the communication, we can take whatever we need. If there's anything left here you find that you need, we can take it. We'll leave whatever. But when you call, we'll be there.
I would propose that you remain outside of the asteroid belt. The planet is unstable.
We got a couple of readings. The initial radiation seems like whatever minerals in this asteroid field that block communication also give us a sort of radiation shield. We're going to continue monitoring. If it does prove dangerous, we'll move out of the asteroid field. We still have a couple of TIE bombers. We can take care of it from here.
I left for your engineers a schematic of our relay systems and a possible way to utilize them to extend your communications range.
Thank you. We did get a strange energy reading. Something seemed like it was offline. A piece of tech drifting on one of these asteroids. Any of you leave a hyperdrive in the drift?
That is correct.
Any specific use you had in mind for it?
To power one of our ships.
Well, I don't suppose you want to be lugging it with you. We can bring it with us when you call. Fetch you some credits at least if you need them.
That would be most helpful.
Who else is in the room with us?
There's an escort for Karn, but you're in a hangar bay. There's people out and around, but you feel like you can have a private conversation here.
Should we discuss the nature of the mission and the information we found?
Has Captain Rhymes made his full report to you yet?
She looks at her data pad. On paper, yes. She looks at Rhymes. We still have ways to go to unpack all of this.
The part that concerns us is that there is a saboteur within our fleet.
I saw this.
Someone with access to Imperial codes. We intend to find out who that is once we meet up with our fleet. But we'd like to keep this information close at hand until the time has come to expose whoever this might be.
I understand.
And I'm sure you also understand that if we go to the fleet and tell them that someone with Imperial codes activated the weapon, and we bring a bunch of Imperials, they will make assumptions, even if the timeline doesn't add up. We intend to find out who this is quickly.
We'll do what we can to support you. whatever pull I have left. As long as I haven't been hit by a dar, should be all right. Rhymes, you haven't been hit with a dar, have you? You're all good? All your codes are still functional?
About that, Commander.
God damn it, Rhymes. We'll support you in any way we can.
Excellent.
And if discretion is that what you need, we'll provide it.
I suppose we should pack.
Yes.
Good luck to you all.
And to you.
I hope you find your crew and your fleet as intact as possible.
It would be our hope that you would join us.
If the stars will it, hopefully we'll cross paths again. We'll wait for your signal.
Zeta nods kind of briefly and says, goodbye. And walks off.
Real quick scene before we leave renewal. San goes down to the Genesis chambers and he just walks through past all the empty pods looking at them.
There's one pod in disrepair that looks like it was salvaged and only one functioning Genesis pod.
Okay. I looking at the Genesis pod, just thinking about the other pods that were in that room. And I just say, how are there more of you? And that's it.
We see the crew of the Wandering Star. They're all strapped in. It's quiet as the ship pulls out of the hangar. We see behind them the disc-shaped space station, the enormous Imperial cruiser docked to it. It almost looks like an amalgamation, one large oblong vessel adrift in a sea of rocks. The ship, the Wandering Star, breaches the asteroid field into open space. Hyperdrive engaging. Core set for Ordibana. Caldo pulls on the lever. The star field fades to white.
Directed by George Lucas.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Wings of Kani. Intro and outro music by Galactic Empire. Check them out at Galactic Empire Official on social media. Our Nasty Graham theme music by A Wilhelm Scream. Dramatic voiceover by Liv. Check her out at Musings of a Polyhedron on Substack. Check us out on nastygrahampod.com. You can get full bios of all the cast. You can get all the links to our social media, links to the feed with all of our back content. So head on over, check out the Nastygram Lounge on Facebook, chat with us, and tell us your favorite force powers.
That's nasty.